Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome back to Arrows DIY. On my channel, I love creating Dollar Tree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trash to treasure. Always on a budget. This is the first of my fall series, and today I have 5 DIYs to show you, each under $5. This is part of the 5 for 5 collaboration, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, you already know what to do. All right, let's get started. So for this first project, I got this pumpkin from Dollar Tree, the one that says Welcome Fall. I've had it in my stash for a year, and it's about time to use it. I'm going to use this chippy paint technique for my sweet friend Mary Beth over at MB Gray Designs. And the first thing you want to do is give this pumpkin one good coat of paint. This paint is Fresh Earth by Home Decor, and I love this color. So now you're going to take a wax candle. Any candle will do. If you don't have a wax candle, a wax melt, any wax. And you're just going to randomly rub it throughout after the paint is dry. Now I'm going to go in and we're going to add the second coat of paint. I'm using French Linen by Home Decor, chalk paint. And once that's fully dry, I'm going to use my favorite scraper. This scraper is from the kitchen section at Dollar Tree, and I love this tool. You'll see me use this tool throughout this video. And as you can see, I'm just going to scrape it. You could scrape as little or as much as you want. And obviously, we're going for a distressed look. This is going to be rustic and nature. So once I was happy with that, I go in with the wax candle again. We're just going to go and just rub wherever you want. Now, wherever you rub the candle most, that will preserve those areas of paint. So once I rubbed the candle as much as I wanted, I'm going to go in with this other color called Pine by Home Decor. Once again, a plaid product. And once it's nice and dry, I'm going to go in and scrape it once again. Now I was going for a rustic pumpkin vibe, so all my colors today are very natural, kind of traditional, but not really. Now I like the pumpkin as this. I think this would be beautiful just like this, but I was just curious to see what happens if we add more paint, right? So we have 3 layers on there, but now I'm going to mix my own orange paint. I don't have any orange because I'm not a big orange fan, but I'm going to mix my own using these 2 colors. So I'm going to do the same wax technique after the paint is dry, and now I'm going to mix this color called Pioneer Red, a chalk paint. It's more like a red orange, and then I'm going to mix in this other color. It's like a light green, kind of like a yellow lime green, and we're going to mix those 2 together. The lime green is called Fiddlehead Fern, and I literally bought it just because it's called the Fiddlehead Fern. All right, once I mix those 2 in equal parts, I got this lovely orange color, and I painted the entire thing. Once it was nice and dry, I go ahead and do the same thing we did. Just scrape it. Now, this coat of paint I left overnight, so it was a lot harder to scrape it off. So I really struggled. So if you're going to do this technique, I recommend letting your paint dry fully, but try to scrape it off the same day. It was a lot harder and not impossible, but you know. So I scraped like crazy, and I also scraped the edges as well. But that's how it's turning out so far. Now in my head, I didn't have an orange pumpkin. So in my head, my vision for this project was to have a mostly white pumpkin with hints of these fall colors throughout. Before adding the last layer of paint, which is Farmhouse White, I did go in with the wax one more time, and when I added the wax, I made sure to do it in a round formation to kind of accentuate the shape of a pumpkin and kind of mimic the grooves on a pumpkin. So you'll see now, after this white paint is dry, when I scrape this one, the chippy paint comes out in more of a curved chippiness. So it'll have like a curved formation, which I really like. So that was because the wax that I applied right before the last layer of paint was in that curved formation. So I really like how this one turned out. I love the colors kind of peeking through that white paint, and I think it looks so natural and I love it. Now we have to paint the stem or the peduncle and we're going to just use some bark brown. This is an acrylic paint and I kind of watered it down because I wanted it to look streaky. And now the fun part, we're just going to add the whole thing was fun for me, but we're just going to add the florals now. You can add whatever florals you like, whatever you have on hand. If you don't like florals, you could totally just add a bow or nothing. You could also add some suede string, whatever you like, some twine. I mean, you could take this in so many different directions. I also add some white greenery I had on hand, as well as a twine bow. So for the twine bow, I just wrap the twine around my fingers about 20 times. Nothing fancy because I want this to look very rustic and organic in textures. So I tie it off once I wrapped it, just made a very rustic bow. And I made it small so that the pumpkin still looks very plump. That's why I made the bow so small. Now I wanted it to be a little bit more pronounced, so I added some greenery on top that kind of made me think of a pumpkin patch. And that's how it turned out. I think it's cute. I really like it, but I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this one, or if you would try the chippy paint technique. It was a lot of fun. All right, so for this next project, I'm going to be using this word from the Dollar Tree. It's relatively big. It's not one of those small words. It's about 15 inches by 5 inches. So for this one, we're going to go in with the same Farmhouse white, and I'm going to use the same wax technique, not chippy paint, but I love the way the wax candle adds resistance for the paint. It doesn't allow the paint to stick in certain parts and acts as a natural barrier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add wax randomly throughout, focusing on the edges. And then if there's any globs of wax, I actually just rubbed them in a little bit, and I left the globs there because I like the variety in texture. So then I just go in with a regular just Dollar Tree kid brush, and I just paint the entire thing white. I try not to put too much paint because you don't want it to be drippy and goopy and gross. You want it to look as neat as possible. So anytime I went into those little crevices and nooks and crannies, I made sure to paint the front. I made sure to paint the front after so that any of those drips were caught. I also dry brushed the back because I don't know. I just dry brushed the back because it looked hideous with drops of paint. So I had to do the back. Okay. So I finally found some tumbling tower blocks, and this is probably the only DIY I'm going to be able to use them with, and you'll see in a second. My little one was in the craft space taking all the tumbling tower blocks. All right, so we're going to make like a little nugget of 3 tumbling tower blocks stacked, and then we're just going to attach 8 of those nuggets. So we have 8 sets of 3. And then we're just going to hot glue them together. I like to use Gorilla Hot Glue. It says it's great for wood as well as metal and, you know, pretty much any material. And I'm using a high temperature glue gun. I did not antique wax this project because I do think that antique wax affects the stick, the bond of your hot glue. So I opted to use paint instead. And the paint I used was burnt umber. So I took some burnt umber and I'm going to water it down a little tiny bit. And now I'm just going to paint this entire rectangle we just made. So I could have totally used a bigger paintbrush, but I didn't. It was okay. I was just relaxing painting here. And once I painted the top, the front, the sides, all of it, I just took a baby wipe and brushed off the excess. And I kind of wanted to take most of the paint off, kind of using it as a stain, using the paint as a stain. Now I'm going to go in with a sandpaper. This is from the Dollar Tree, the sandpaper, and an 150 grit. And I'm just lightly distressing. I don't want it to be heavily distressed. I want to use this piece throughout my house for the fall season. And it's just going to float around my house because I change my decor so often. So as you can see, I'm focusing mostly on the edges of the word. And I love using the sandpaper because you can fold it as small as you need to get it in any nooks and crannies. I also took off any brackets in the back, any excess twine, and it looks a lot better. Oh, there you go. See, this little boy was just in the craft space taking all the tumbling tower blocks because he knows I was focused on my distressing, and he was trying to reach the other one, but he couldn't reach it. All right, anyways, so now we're going to attach the two pieces together. I had an OCD moment where I needed that specific spot to be covered where the first nugget met the second nugget. I wanted that crease to be covered by the word to help it look less like tumbling tower blocks. I marked off the sections where this word would touch the tumbling tower block base we made, and then I just hot glued those sections, and then I just held the word down and pressed down until the hot glue fully set and it all felt secure. And that's how it looks. Let me know what you think. Now, like I said, this is part of the 5 Under 5 DIY challenge. It's hosted every month by Emily of Farm Term Chic and Missy from the Crafty Cove. This month, the guest host is Robin from Robin's Buys and DIYs. She's a sweet friend of mine and she's so talented. I left all their links in the description box below, as well as the playlist link, so you can enjoy more fall inspiration. Now, this project is inspired by Robin. This is a DIY that Robin made last year. And Robin from Robin's Buys and DIYs, the guest host. So she made this project using her scroll saw. I don't have a scroll saw, but inspiration comes from everywhere. So I really liked how her project turned out, and I wanted to try it for myself. So using my favorite scraper and this wood plaque that I got from Family Dollar, it was on sale. I bought it after the Easter season, but I like the size of this board. It was originally $5, but I think I got it for $1. I'm pretty sure, because I would never pay $5. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and use the scraper, and what I like to do is just scrape like one swift motion, trying to keep the scraper as close to the board, as flat onto the board as possible. And I just scraped off those words, and I was so happy that I got to keep them because I'll use them in the next, well, no, on the last project today, which is kind of my favorite project, but I don't know. You let me know. And the truck, I didn't really care so much about the truck because I have so many trucks I got on sale. So I got a whole bunch of trucks at Family Dollar for 25 cents because they were like out of season. But we all know that trucks are year round, so I'm excited to use those as well. Now, once I cleaned off this entire wood plaque, I went ahead and I just wiped it with a baby wipe, and now I'm just going in with this glossy black paint from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to paint the whole thing using my wide brush, my wide paintbrush. I tried to be as neat as possible. I apologize, my kids are kind of playing, I think, in the next room. So I just went ahead and I painted this whole thing to the best of my ability. It wasn't perfect, but I don't mind it. I'm not perfect, so my project will not be perfect, but I think it came out really pretty. I also put too much paint, so I took some of the paint off and scraped it back into my bottle because waste not, need not, right? All right, so now I have this little rectangle from Michael's. I got it for $1, and I'm just taking all the hardware and hangers off, as well as a sticker. I set that aside because we're going to use it in a second. Originally, I wanted to use the wooden crates, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm just going to build my own crate. I'm going to cut off this rectangular section, the back of the truck, and I'm just going to set it aside. Now I'm going to add some Mod Podge. I use some paper Mod Podge. I try to make it as thin as possible because the calendar page is a very finicky material, but I think it's pretty, so I wanted to use it. Now, a sweet subscriber told me that I could take the wrinkles off of my projects using parchment paper and an iron. So my iron is on a low setting with no steam at all, and I'm waiting for the Mod Podge to fully dry. Once the Mod Podge is fully dry, you want to go in and keep your iron moving back and forth. Now I'm showing you here that it's not perfect because I did not wait for my Mod Podge to fully dry. It's the scientist in me wanted to see what happened if I didn't wait, and it didn't work that well. But you'll see in a little bit that I did wait for the Mod Podge to fully dry. You hear that, Robin? The Mod Podge fully dried. And then once it was fully dry, I went in with the iron. So now I'm going to add this thankful word, the back of the truck, to the front of this crate. I apologize, I lost the footage of me building the crate, but basically I just used craft sticks secured with more craft sticks in the back, and I just stacked 3 craft sticks on top of each other. Then I went in with the X-Acto knife and kind of followed the shape of the craft sticks so that it looked more like a crate. If you can find the crate at Dollar Tree without the spaces in between the slats, I think that would be best. Like I said, I didn't have any on hand. But anyways, this is the second go of going in with the iron, and I waited for the Mod Podge to dry this time, and it came out way better. Not perfect, but way better than what it was. Sometimes wrinkles don't bother me, but in this project it was very, very obvious, and it was very annoying to me. So I just went in with this iron, and it came out pretty cool. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over some sickness here, so pardon my voice. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and just, as you can see, it took a lot of the wrinkles off, and I really appreciate that. So if you ever have any tips and tricks for me, they're all welcomed here. I love learning new tips and tricks, so thank you. So I go ahead and I do the same thing to the face of this thankful back of the truck. And I did go in with the X-Acto knife again because I wanted those little bubbles to be flat. I didn't want it to be perfect because I did want it to look a little rustic, but I wanted them a little flatter than they were. So I'm going to slow this down here. You can see how I build the crate in the back there. I just used some popsicle sticks to reinforce. And I attached that to the crate. I also cut that rectangular piece in half that I got from Michael's using my miter shears. It was not easy to cut that. But if you can find a crate, I'm telling you, just use the wooden crate from Dollar Tree. It's just, you could just skip that whole step altogether and just add the thankful word to that. Once the back of the truck was adhered with hot glue, I used Gorilla Hot Glue. I just added some pool noodle. I added some pool noodle to the back of the truck just to stuff it and to help secure the florals. And now I'm just kind of so now I'm just stuffing the florals in between the pool noodle and the crate, just to add some tension and keep them in place. I did not use hot glue, but you are welcome to use hot glue for your project if you want it to be more permanent. Now I'm going in with this hula skirt at the bottom there just to add some fall vibes, and I thought I was going to go around the entire frame, but I changed my mind. I taped off the bottom of the hula skirt so it didn't make a crazy mess, and then I cut off about an inch just to add some fall vibes. I also took some more raffia and I tied it into a knot, and then I just stuffed it inside the crate to add some more fall texture to the back of our truck. I did not add a lot of pumpkins to the back of the truck because the picture, the calendar page already had pumpkins, a picture of pumpkins in the back of the truck. So that's why I opted for florals and one pumpkin, but you could do whatever you like. If you like pumpkins in the back of your truck, I think it would be really cute to have a variety of colors, a variety of pumpkins in the back of your truck. So that's how it turned out. Let me know what you think. I really like this one. I think it's super cute. Now for this next project, I'm going to be using this bud vase from the Dollar Tree, and it's an interesting shape. That's why I picked it. However, in hindsight, I think it might be easier to use a cylinder that's straight all the way down. That way you don't run into the problem I'm about to run into. I also use this twisted poly rope from the Dollar Tree because I like the texture that it adds. I wanted to create kind of like a wheat vase so it's like a farmhouse bundle of wheat. That's a vase. I hope you can follow me here. Just, it comes out cute, but it's definitely not common. So I hope you find some inspiration in this video, some ideas that you like. And if you don't, it's fine. I mean, let me know in the comments below what you would have done different. Your comments are always welcomed here. So now I'm going to go in. You're going to need a good pair of scissors. And I'm just going to hot glue this poly rope to this glass. And I'm using a high temperature glue gun. Starting from the bottom, making sure that the bottom is very lined up to keep it nice and neat. And then the top of the vase, I left about a 4-inch overhang. And you'll see what we'll do with that in about a second. A little bit more than a second, not literally a second. In a moment, I should say. So very simple. I just go in with some Gorilla Hot Glue and this poly rope, and I just cover the entire vase. Once the vase started getting a little too curvy, I continued adding the poly rope to the other side of the vase until the entire thing was covered. Once I got to the end, it got kind of tricky, kind of an eyesore. So what I opted to do was cover it with a ribbon. Now, I wanted to put a ribbon from the beginning because I wanted it to look like a bundle of wheat. So I didn't mind it. If you find a crazy piece of poly rope, just cut it off and continue. It took about 2 packs of this twisted poly rope, which is available at the hardware section at Dollar Tree. So it's very simple. If you add hot glue somewhere you don't want to, you could just scratch it off because it's glass. It's very simple to do. You just really need a good pair of scissors because I used a different pair at the beginning and I almost got arthritis, people. It was a struggle to cut through this. So you want a good pair of heavy duty scissors. My husband took mine. I borrowed them. I mean, he borrowed them and never gave them back. So that's why I struggled in the beginning of this project. But I happened to find another one that worked really well. And this is a piece of cake to do as long as you have a good pair of scissors. I cannot stress how important a good pair of scissors is because I'm stubborn, and the beginning of this project could have been way easier if I just got a better pair of scissors. Okay, so now I'm gonna go all the way down the length, up the length of this, and at the bottom here, this is the eyesore part. I'm like, why? But it came out fine. I just made a V formation with the poly rope, starting at the bottom with the peak in the center, coming all the way down. It turned out fine. It's not even noticeable, to be honest. If your project comes out kind of messy, just make that the back of your vase. But honestly, you can't even notice it after the ribbon's on there. So just bear with me a little bit and you'll see the last project, which is I love the last project. I think it's so beautiful and so simple, so farmhouse. I really liked these projects today. I hope you like them too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just continue as before, hot gluing all this poly rope to cover the full glass vase. We want to see no glass vase. Now, once this is fully attached and kind of a hot mess in the back, I'm going to trim off the bottom there so that it's nice and flat, and use little pieces to cover anything that I didn't want to show. And now we're going to go in with this parchment color. You could use any color. I just like the muted tone of this parchment. If you're more into like the yellowy wheat, go ahead and make your project the yellowy wheat. I just like this muted tone. I'm not really a yellow or orange type person. In my decor, you won't really see yellow. You won't really see orange, even for fall. But you want to go in and paint all of this. I did add a little bit of water to my paintbrush to help the paint glide and go into every single nook and cranny on this poly rope. But it's very helpful to use the water to help your paint not be so thick and to cover well. Now I also painted the top of the spraggly bits on top. I had a vision. I really wanted it to look bushy on top, so it kind of gives you the vibe of wheat. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just unraveling the top portion of this. I could have painted it more, but I actually like the white peeking through. Now I'm going to go in with this burlap ribbon to cover the ugly bits and to help it look like the vision I had in my mind. I just wanted it to look farmhouse, like a bundle of wheat. I think I've said that several times. I think you understand what I'm saying. So once the burlap was on there, I go with another ribbon. And this is the small ribbon, the lace ribbon that I love so much from the Dollar Tree. And I just put two ribbons across with the scallop edges facing opposite directions. You can use whatever ribbon you like. I'm sure you know this. So I'm going to use two of these bouquets from the Dollar Tree. They have sunflowers as well as pumpkins and some pine cones and some yellow florals there, which give me all the fall feels. So I went ahead and just stuffed it in there. And that's it for this project. Super simple, unique for sure. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. So I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments below if I've lost my mind. It's highly likely. But there it is. I think it's so pretty. Let me know what you think. Do you get the vision I was going for? All right, so now we're going to take this project from DIY number 3 and we're going to flip it over because I love making two-sided decor. I'm going to pop off the sticker. No, I did not pay $5. That's what I'm saying. There's no way I paid $5. No way. And I'm going to use this new 2023 calendar, which I found and I'm so excited about. So I got a couple for you guys for a giveaway coming up soon, probably in my next video. I'm going to be giving away some of these objects I use in this DIY. So some calendars, as well as some stencils and some stickers and some rub-ons, some farmhouse stuff from Dollar Tree. So stay tuned if you like those things. Stay tuned if you don't like those things. Just stay tuned and be a pal. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this calendar page and I'm just going to tear the edges. So I just folded it in half because this needs to happen today. I made sure not to crease the calendar page. So I took off the word happy off the top and I just made it nice and a jagged edge. So once that's all done, I used the glue stick. I thought it would help me a little bit better, but my glue stick was all weird and melted and it was a day. It was really hot in my craft space, if you could tell by my watch. It was so hot. But anyways, I hope you guys are staying cool in this heat. I went in off camera and I also ironed this one with the parchment paper as well to get the wrinkles out. Now this farm fresh word we scraped off earlier, I went in and I painted it black using the same glossy paint from project number 3. And I'm going to use this farmer's market stencil. So I actually centered it onto the pumpkin and used a fine tip Sharpie to stencil this entire thing. This is not a gripped stencil, so you want to be sure to hold it in place and hold it inch by inch as you use it. You could also tape it using some painter's tape. And once I finished the center of the pumpkin, I went into the bottom and I added those local and fresh words on the sides. As you can see, I did not trace the chicken in the middle of the harvest word. I just wanted the farmer's market word and the words local and fresh. Then I just freehanded the and symbol. And now we're just going to attach the greenery to the top. So this is just greenery I had on hand. I think my mom gave me this greenery. I have no idea where it came from. But use whatever you want or no greenery. or some twine would be cute as well. I ended up opting for raffia, so you could also use raffia, whatever you like. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Just have fun with your project. So I go in and I just add a variety of ribbon. I also tack down some of the leaves so that you kind of get the pumpkin patch vibes. And this is the part where I just took some raffia. I literally just twisted the middle. No knots, no anything. I just twisted the center and hot glued it right to the middle like that. And I was happy with that. You could trim it down a little bit, but I like the wild, raggly nature of it, so I just left it long and kind of crazy. And now I hot glued the words backwards because it was a day that day, and I was still getting over this little sickness, so I just put it backwards. But hey, whatever. I guess my farm is just called Fresh. My farm is called Fresh. So Fresh Farm, Farmers Market Harvest. I still get the vibes, the farmhouse vibes on here. I know it is too late. Oh no, the hot glue set, it's backwards. But my husband didn't notice, and I asked him, hey, what's wrong with this? He was like, nothing. So I consider it a win in my book. But anyways, that's all the projects I have for you today. Don't mind the crayon on the wall. Let me know what you think about these. I really like using these Dollar Tree calendars. It's always fun to just use your creativity. And I want to thank Emily and Missi for hosting this. Can you it's stop? So much fun. I need to take a picture. I need to take a picture, buddy. Oh my goodness, I think he likes. So as you can see, the struggles are real over here in this house. That is not staying there. I'm going to move it somewhere so he doesn't do that again. But these are all the projects that I shared with you today. Hope you enjoy. Thank you so much to Emily and Missi once again, and Robin for guest hosting. This was so much fun to create. I love the fall, so stay tuned for more fall decor coming very, very soon. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite, which one was your least favorite. I'm just kidding. Be a doll, be a pal, press the buttons, and let me know, do you guys love fall? What are you guys decorating for fall? Whatever you want to let me know. Let me know in the comments below because I love hearing from you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, for putting up with my crafty shenanigans, and I want you guys to take care. God bless, and I'll catch you on the next one. If you like this video, here's some others you might enjoy.